You are just trying to understand Atma that already is. So this is the distinction between Dhyanam and Nididhyasana. Dhyanam falls within karma, Nididhyasanam falls within what? Pramana. Pramana pravritti. What is the difference? One is apraptasya prapti. You are doing something to get something that you don't have. The other one is praptasya prapti. Understanding something which already is. This is how we make a distinction. Is it clear? Yeah. Okay. So this is also done. So that means meditation alone, please understand, there are a lot of people who say, you meditate and one day the knowledge of Atma will dawn on you. What are we saying? It can never dawn on you because any knowledge requires means of knowledge. So that means meditation is good, but it will only prepare you. And that too, just imagining a blue light will not prepare you for knowledge. Imagining some energies rising will not prepare you for knowledge. Keeping quiet will also not prepare you for knowledge. Watching your thoughts will also not prepare you for knowledge. You need to follow these steps in order to prepare you for knowledge. So that means this is how it is. Then, so now having used pramana, the person becomes what? He becomes, his knowledge, it's a very nice, as a result of Nididhyasana, there is an imagery used. So, you know, Surya used this imagery of the upper wood is Ishvara and the down wood is, and you rub it. So that was done with a reference to apraptasya prapti, getting well. Now, imagine you use, let's say, pramana, then the fire of knowledge arises, but it is what? It is what we call the fire, the light. You light a lamp. Initially it is what? Little wavery. The light is there, but it is what? Flickering. Then at one point it becomes what? Steady. So this is an imagery use. Please don't take it literally. Don't use it to say, yeah, first some knowledge takes place and it's all wibbly wobbly and then it will become steady. It means that the orientations that we have, which are with us for, even if you get total clarity, that is not some superficial clarity, real clarity, you may still have to what? Bring in this mind, this vision again and again and again to reinforce it. So this is what, then it becomes what? Totally steady. And our teacher used to say at times, you know, sometimes he was not feeling well and he was not, he had some health issues and all. So people will say, no, Swamiji, today you don't go to class because you're not well. He said, all my energy comes from sharing this vision. Because I am actively put in touch with what? The truth. Otherwise, see, it's not like once you have understood E is equal to mc square, is it always in your active mind? No. Once it's understood, it's understood. If somebody asks you questions, you can easily answer it. But it's not actively in your memory. It's not like every thought of yours has to be Atma is Brahman, Atma is Brahman, Atma is Brahman. You can't do anything. It's not memory based. So once understood, it's understood forever. But every time you bring it to your active memory, there is a pleasure. that means a physics professor may know everything, but in the class the person is alive. Because why? Teaching something that one understands. Sharing it. So Nididhyasanam can also be in form of what? Teaching. Actively bringing to your mind what you understand clearly. Whether when you are alone or sharing with people. So that is what we call Nididhyasanam. And the more and more Nididhyasanam happens, the past orientation one is what? Totally able to get rid of. One's actions in this world, they are effortless. So in fact, everything is like that. There is a very nice, not only knowledge, everything is like that. There is a very nice Samaveda verse which says, Setus Taraha. So you have to cross over the bridge. What kind of a bridge you have to cross over? Which is Dustaran, which is very difficult to cross over. You have to cross over the bridge which is difficult to cross over. What will you do? So here you are on one side of the bridge. What is that one side of the bridge? Adanam. Adanam means non-giving. The person who wants to hold on to one's wealth or resources or skills or anything, time, everything. Now you have to become a giving person. Giving what? Resources, skills, time, everything, attention, everything. It's very difficult to cross. Because what is a tendency? Holding. And you have to, so that means it's difficult to cross and to go the other side. But you still want to go to the other side, because going to the other side then will what is actually good for you. You may think that is good for others, actually it's good for you. You become more noble. The simple way of saying that you get punya. So nowadays there is a whole thing going on. Lessons from demonetization. Don't invest in collecting money, invest in doing good deeds, because they will not go away with demonetization. It's 100%, there is no risk, there is no ensured return, and it is not subject to demonetization. So the Indians are like that. They make fun of everything. They are fun. It's good. So that means this is what, now you have to, it's good for you. Please understand, every time you expand, you think you are helping others, you are helping yourself.
But is it okay to do it consciously as a selfish thing and think you're doing punya so that your life gets better?
That's a first thing, but you know, it's actually, this enlightened self-interest is the only way to sustain goodness. If you begin to see it as a loss to you, there is always going to be a time that you said, okay, now it's not convenient to me. But if you see it as your own gain, then it is enlightened self-interest. You will never say, now it's enough. Because you are also gaining. You are also included in the equation.
Profit sharing.
Yeah, exactly. It's profit sharing. So
It actually enhances your clarity every time you keep doing. So it's not exactly, it's actually on this side. They learn and you keep learning and you keep going up and up for you. So either anyway it is the best way to do it.
Yeah. So then it says, now you have to cross. So what will you do? There is no other way to cross. He says, Danena adanam taraha. Only by giving you will be crossing over what? Your tendency not to give. There is no other way. If you have fear, then what? You'll continue to operate from the fear. What the crossing of the fear? Tell me. You confront the fear, deal with it, acknowledge its presence, and then welcome it, acknowledge its presence, deal with it, then you cross fear. Anything you want to cross, you have to what? You have to what? Accept it's there, deal with it and cross it. And in fact, even dana, we have to understand that the nature of human being is hoarding. Hoarding comes from insecurity. I always imagine that, oh, I won't have enough tomorrow. So many people, even today, they come to us and say, yeah, now you are in your prime years and you are teaching and all, but have you thought about your old age? What will happen to you? So I said, no, I haven't thought about it. But this is how people are, that there is some, you never know what is tomorrow, and it is always going to give you some insecurity. So how do you get over this, that hoarding is a result of insecurity? And you are interested, you can't be feeling insecure and get limitlessness. It's not possible. So all these are huge lessons in life to give up your insecurities. Until then, so our teacher used to say, the seed has to give up its seedness to become a tree. It cannot retain its seedness because that's all it knows and that's what it is comfortable with and then become the tree. You have to give up your smallness to become big. That is law of Ishvara. Nobody can bypass it. So that means this growth is something that you have to go against your natural tendency, because in going against your natural tendency is your growth. So that means this is how the person does. Repeated to change the orientation. Repeated actions. You can't say, okay, today I have given, so now I have changed my attitude. One day I have given 10 rupees to one this thing, so I have changed my attitude.
Quota is over.
Quota is over. You can't say that. Every time you have to do it. Change of orientation. Similarly, just one second. In this, even after knowledge, you can repeatedly bring to your understanding this vision. Repeatedly. So that, the habitual way of looking, even though you totally understand, the habitual way of looking at things, habitual way of responding to situation, habitual way of assessing things, completely is shifted. Just as that was natural and you had to make an effort to be different, the other thing becomes natural. Till that time. That is what we call the whole person is totally transformed. The vision of oneness is not only understood clearly, but there is no effort in living that vision. Effortless. So that is the purpose of Nididhyasana. Surya, you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to come back to the verse and connect.
Yes.
So practically, how do you do this reorientation? Even though you have been exposed to the teaching for years and years, and you understood this, more or less, this Shravanam has been taken care of, this Mananam has been taken care of. Now, this Nididhyasana is about what? Well, how do you practically go about it? Neema has been saying that you bring back to fundamentally reorient yourself. How do you do that? So here I can give you some clues based on the verse. One is, even though you have understood very well that you are not subject to birth and death, okay, the orientation that you are subject to birth and you are what are the qualities of the body are so strong that you can contemplate on one word. For example, get rid of this orientation, which is what? Ajam. It's here. Okay? Ajam.
Yeah.
Ajam means I am birthless. I am unborn. So you bring this word only, okay, and you bring and you see for yourself how it is true for you and how you are really and truly unborn. You contemplate upon the meaning of this word, which is I am unborn, till it is you. And so this is the deep reorientation that we are speaking about. Even though all the logic, the mananam, I know is the property of the body is born and so on. In spite of knowing that, and I have seen, yeah, the body is not me, you understand all the logic. So whatever happens to body is not what happens to me. In spite of understanding that very clearly, deeply this orientation can stay. So the purpose of contemplation of the Nidhyasanam is to bring that and contemplate upon, for example, Ajam. Other example, Dhruvam. Dhruvam means unchanging.
North Star.
Yeah, exactly. Dhruva is this North Star. But here it is, I mean, when you're living your life, everything is changing all the time. So where do you find this center she was speaking about, Neema, from which all the changes are taking place, which is you. And you know where the changes are taking place, it's at the level of body and mind. But you see very clearly for yourself by saying, I am Dhruva, I am unchanging, I am unchanging. That is a contemplation by itself. See for yourself that. Another one, Vishuddham. Shuddham. Shuddham means,
Untouched.
yeah, unaffected. Or there is another word, asangoham, asangaha. Usually what is our orientation? We are relating to so many things. So what happens? We can be affected by things. Okay. So even though you know very well, you have understood, you have listened to the Upanishad and the Gita, you know very well that what is affected truly is what? You know, the emotion are coming, the emotion are not you. You know that very well. But here you bring it and you say, how is it true that really I am unaffected? Asangoham, asangoham. And you see, and you be that, and you dwell upon that. That is the deeper reorientation, which is based on knowledge that you have already had. Another one. Or you are like affected by raga dvesha, likes and dislikes, emotional turmoil, so that you bring it here. Another one, muktoham. We found that we are bound, okay? Or we are confined to this body. Right? And you understand that, no, this is what is satyam and what is mithya, you understand very well. This Atma is not like confined to a particular body, it's all over and so on. So how do you like get over this? So then you take a word here again. You can take here, it is Purnoham rather. Purnoham means I am the whole, an undivided whole. I am not confined to this body. And you contemplate upon that. How is it true for you and how is it who you are? So this is how, see, all these words which are describing Atma here, your reality, you can bring one word after the other. Swamiji used to say, yeah, during 3 months, do only asangoham. First start by asangoham, I am unaffected. If it is your problem that you tend to be always affected and so on, of course, deal with it with this emotional getting well and resolving the issue, settling account with Ishvara. But also start, once you have heard enough of this Upanishad, a lot of Upanishad, and you are clear with the meaning, then do this reorientation, Asanga, and see how it's true for you, how you are truly Asanga. After these 6 months, you can choose another word, and so on and so on. So it's like really, it's really, this is the, what Neema is saying, this is the part of the, let's say, process of this knowledge. It's essential part. And it's, you see how it's different from meditation. And last thing I would like to add, and I will finish by this, what you can do is that after you have done body awareness, breathing, you have done some japa, you have connected to Ishvara and so on, then you can bring these words. Then the meditation shifts into contemplation. This is what we did the second day, when I said what? Chit Swarupo, my nature is consciousness. You remember? I showed you that. So you can use any other word, which is here. So this is the process. Okay?
Exactly. See, as Surya is saying, generally what happens is, people try to skip without dhyana, they go to contemplation.
Yeah.
Then this is what we call dissociation. So that means we first have to do dhyana and then slowly move to contemplation. Because there are two ways, as I told you. You know, you have anger, you have two ways that you can tell yourself, oh, that Atma is never angry. And it's a fact. But the thing is, if you have not understood Atma, and if you keep telling yourself that oh, Atma is never angry
And never affected.
And never affected and all, and then it is counterproductive. This is why who is, like this is what Swamiji was saying, who is doing it is very critical. You need first Ishvara and looking into that anger and addressing it and correcting it. Only after a length of time of correction, then you can move to this Nididhyasana. Otherwise, that skipping of that previous, this is why in the chronology, initially the Upanishads, you can't choose, oh I like this part of Upanishad and let me ignore the last 3 verses because that is too much effort. You can't do that. So Upanishads are talking about everything. We do selective listening according to what is convenient and what is easy. So that means we have to do that and then slowly we have to graduate to this. And that's why both are, Dhyanam and Nididhyasanam are both required. Both have a different function. One is Praptasya Prapti, the other one is Apraptasya Prapti.
And what Neema said is very important also, which is that it's not restricted only to formal sitting and after meditation you do Nididhyasana.
Yes.
As she said, during walking, you see, when it is saying that it is in and through everything and not affected by anything, you see it and it is here. And you see it very clearly. And you dwell upon it, you dwell. So this is how this knowledge really takes place. I mean, it's part of the whole process. You know? So it means hours and hours of, it's very deep. Meditation is deep. And it is preceded by a lot of Shravanam and Mananam.
And also Antakarna.
And Antakarna Shuddhi parallel. So you see, the whole process is a beauty. It's amazing. It's wonderful. The whole thing is like so much like well laid down.
Actually, once the dots start connecting, it's just lovely.
Yeah, exactly. The dots have to start connecting.
Yeah.
Because many times people understand some part, they understand the other part, and that one little part they understand, it inspires them, it changes their life, so you feel more engaged. But the real beauty is connecting all the different parts and make it into one coherent vision. That is That is the final this thing. And even if once that vision is totally clear, you still can do Nididhyasana. Bring it actively to your mind again and again and again. It's not like, oh, now it's over. So it's good. So that's very good that these words can be used. And this is why
You can use the English or the German, you don't use the Sanskrit.
That Ajam means we call Ajay in Gujarati.
So no, that meaning is Jaya is victory. Ajay means somebody who can never be defeated. This is Ajam. Ajam means somebody who's never born.
Never born.
Birthless. So this is what we say. Now birthless is an interesting thing, and it's a fact. See, when you bring these words, one thing is very important. We use those words to kind of make it into some kind of a mantra. It's almost like I'm convincing myself, I'm unborn, I'm unborn, I'm unborn. Don't do that. Always try to use some logic. That is a safe way, because that will ensure that you are not just repeating blindly, you are seeing the reasons why it is like that.
Here you need to connect the dots.
Exactly.
So
you need to connect. You can't. It's not a matter of repetition. So therefore, when you are just come up with some reason, so to give some depth to your understanding. So as Surya was saying, when you say ajam, so unborn. So then you can bring this example that when this cup is born, there seems to be birth of cup space. There seems to be. When the cup is born, there seems to be birth of cup space. But in reality, is the cup space, was it created when the cup was created? No. Space was always there. Birth of a cup gave it
A form.
as though confinement. As though confinement. Because space is never confined. The cup does not divide the space. Space is undivided whole. But it gives an appearance of the cup is now encapsulated in, the space is now encapsulated within cup. Appearance. So you can say that the cup space came into being, but in reality, the space was always there. It as though became what? Cup space when cup came into being. This is seeing the fact. Do you see that? It's not just repeating, oh, I mustn't go, I mustn't go. Then that will create another this thing. You take some examples to make it real. Upanishad's vision has to become your vision. Then you bring it to Atma and you can say, these are the reasoning which gives depth. Repetition doesn't give depth. It makes you a parrot. Reasoning gives depth. Then you can say the awareness with the birth of a body seems to be, like in this example, seems to be what? Having a form. But the birth of the body as though gives a form to awareness. Awareness was always there. Awareness is never confined to that form of the body. And even after the body goes, awareness remains. Then you can say, what? Ajo.
Ajo.
You can say that. So that means, use that term, which is very important. Extract the relevant teaching, which is not just what? See it for yourself. Bring logics. The more and more you bring your own logics of why it is so, more and more the vision becomes your vision. It's not Upanishad vision which I kind of somehow accept, becomes my vision. You have to, that shift has to be there. So use logics. In every of these points, you use logic. Why? Ask yourself, why am I saying that? So that it doesn't become some superficial repetition. Yeah? So that is seeing the reality again and again and again. This is the Adhyatma. That's a good thing. So these are the things that this is Nididhyasanam. Then we will see next time in the evening. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya